week 1 of the fantasy football season, and here's the top 12 defense DST units I'm ranking. Number 1, Cincinnati Bengals week streaming option. I like Cincinnati's matchup versus the Patriots. Not much on this Patriot offense. Jacoby Brissett, starting quarterback. Backfield, Ramondre Stevenson, Antonio Gibson, and then your receivers, Demario Douglas, Thornton, and the rookie Jalen Polks. I don't see the Patriots moving the football that well. And if the Bengals get off to an early start, this is where the defense is really going to tee off. So what a great matchup this week. I think the Bengals put in a great performance. Number 2, the Seattle Seahawks. So the Seattle Seahawks DST has a great matchup as well as a streaming option this week with the Broncos coming to town. I know Sean Payton's trying to revamp this offense, get things going, but there's not much going and not a lot of weapons on this offense with the rookie Bo Nix making his first career start in the 12th man over there in Seattle, where it's going to be tough sledding. I know they got Javonte Williams, Cortland Sutton, but besides those two players, there's not much going on and consistent options for this Denver Bronco team. So I think it's going to be a tough week 1 for them. And the Seattle defense plays much better at home than they have on the road over the last few seasons. Number 3, the New Orleans Saints. So the Saint defense has one of the best schedules all season, and they got a great game coming up with the Panthers coming to town. And the Panthers last season, the worst team in the NFL offensively. Bryce Young had a bad rookie year. I know they made some upgrades in the offseason, trading for Deontay Johnson, drafting Xavier Legette in the NFL draft, drafting Jonathan Brooks, who could be a big-time running back, even though he's out this game in the first 4 weeks of the season. And this same team, they get to the quarterback at home. And I think in this one, it's going to be a long day for Bryce Young and this offense. And this New Orleans Saints team, they're going to put pressure and create turnovers. And this one, number 4, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So the Bucs, another streaming option as well with a good matchup with the Washington Commanders coming to town. Jaden Daniels, the Heisman Trophy winner, is going to start here for week 1. He's going to run for a lot of yards, no doubt about it, this season. But they're limited with weapons as well. I think Brian Robinson's a decent running back in the backfield. Terry McLaurin at wide receiver, even though I think he's going to start to decline a little bit. Zach Ertz, Spencer Nett at the tight end position. But I believe Tampa Bay, led by Todd Bowles, is the head coach, and he's a defensive-minded coach. Have a good ball game in this one. Like I said, Jaden Daniels, a young quarterback, first career start. Tough environment in Tampa Bay where they got a good defense, like I mentioned, especially at home. And Tampa Bay's offense, we know, could put points on the board, and they could be trailing early where they make them one-dimensional. Number 5, the San Francisco 49ers. So the Niners, I was going to rate a little bit higher, but this matchup is tougher for them than the other teams I mentioned. With the New York Jets offense, definitely should be improved with Rodgers at quarterback. But I believe if Rodgers takes a couple bad hits in this one and I recover in this ball game and respond well, because he's been out now for a year as Aaron Rodgers after tearing the Achilles plays in last season. But this Jet offense definitely has weapons. Garrett Wilson, obviously, up-and-coming wide receiver. Mike Williams coming off the ACL. He could stretch the field to make plays. Conklin in the middle with the tight end, and the Pro Bowl running back in Breece Hall. So like I said, they got some weapons, but I still believe they get to Rodgers a few times, maybe cause a turnover or two. And this ball game will be in the mid-teens, low 20s, I believe. Number 6, the Dallas Cowboys. So this Cowboy defense, I know, lost Dan Quinn, who was their defensive coordinator, and really riled these guys up and got them playing hard, where he's the head coach with the division rival Washington Commanders. Also, Stephon Gilmore, he left in free agency, went to the Minnesota Vikings. DeRon Bland, he's out for this game and most likely the first month of the season. But when you got number 11 Micah Parsons and DeMarcus Lawrence, who still could get to the quarterback, I think this Cowboy defense could create havoc versus a middle-of-the-pack offensive line of the Cleveland Browns. And also Deshaun Watson, he really hasn't shown much over the last few seasons with off-the-field issues, suspension injuries over the last couple seasons. So I think the Cowboys could create a few turnovers. We know they get to the quarterback where they're amongst the league leaders in sacks over the last few seasons. And this week in a grinded-out type of ball game at the Dog Pound in Cleveland, I think the Cowboys have a good performance. Number 7, the Atlanta Falcons. This Falcon DST, another one-week option. Pittsburgh Steelers coming to town in the opener. And Russell Wilson at quarterback, we know he's prone to turning over the football. We know he's prone to holding on to the football a whole lot and taking sacks. And Atlanta, as a whole, I don't think their defense is all that great, but like I said, is a streaming option and with a good matchup where Pittsburgh, besides George Pickens and Najee Harris and Warren, a decent tandem in the backfield, don't have much going on offensively. Number 8, the Chicago Bears. So the Chicago Bear defense, the last couple seasons, they've been adding pieces, getting better. And now Will Levis and this young Tennessee Titan team's coming to town, where Will Levis, I think, could be a decent quarterback down the line. But this week, it's going to be tough sledding for him over there in Soldier Field. This defensive line, I think, could create and make a few plays And with Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears in the backfield, I don't think it's a great in-between the tackle tandem for this Tennessee Titan team. And if this Bear offense can get off to a good start where they got a lot of playmakers and a high-powered offense they should be this season, I think they can make Tennessee one-dimensional and the defense can make plays. Number 9, the Los Angeles Chargers. So the Chargers is a one-week use with the Raiders coming to town, even though I believe the Raiders have some potential. And I don't think Gardner Minshew's a total non-quarterback who's not capable of doing anything. We saw last season Minshew have some big games, stretch the field. They got Devontae Adams, you got Brock Bowers, Zamir White. He's an unknown a little bit in the backfield, even though I think he could be a decent 3-down back for this Las Vegas Raider team. But with Jim Harbaugh at the helm, he's going to get the most out of his guys. We've seen it in the NFL where he was a head coach. Then we saw it in Michigan winning a national championship. And I think this week with the Raiders in the opener, I think Joey Bosa and Khalil Mack could get to Gardner Minshew a few times. And he's good for a few turnovers because he's a gunslinger as well. Number 10, the Cleveland Browns. So this Cowboy offense were amongst the league leaders in points last season. But this year, I don't think they're going to be that is this Cowboy team. We know Myles Garrett, Denzel Ward, the top players on this defense for Cleveland. And I think it's going to be a tough ball game for Dallas. The offensive line obviously got worse in the offseason. Tyron Smith, they cut him loose. He went to the New York Jets and now dealing with some young guys on the O-line. And also Zach Martin, who's been a Pro Bowler and future Hall of Famer. But I think Dak Prescott, we've seen him over the last couple seasons get off to a slow start and then find his rhythm mid-season. But this week, I think Cleveland, it's going to be a tight contested ball game. Like I mentioned, it's going to be probably low 20s, mid-20s at best, and they'll get a few sacks on Dak, and I think a couple turnovers as well. Number 11, the Buffalo Bills. So this has a potential shootout written all over it with the Arizona Cardinals coming to town. But this Cardinal offense has some high-powered weapons now. Kyler Murray, obviously, he can run the football and get big running numbers. We've seen it throughout his career. Now you got Trey McBride, who emerged second half of the season last year and broke out at the tight end position. And Marvin Harrison Jr., who I think could be a number 1 wide receiver right away coming out of college and one of the top wide receivers we've seen come out in the last 5-10 years. So it's a good offense, no doubt about it. But Buffalo, we know they've played good defense at home over the last few seasons. And this Cardinal offensive line really isn't all that great, where we know Murray holds on to the football a lot, and that's where the mistakes kick in. And the 12th and final defense, DST, I'm ranking, is the Philadelphia Eagles. So this Eagle team, I know last season they got torched. They gave up tons of passing yards, amongst the league leaders in passing yards given up, but they still find ways to get pick sixes. They still find ways to get to the quarterback and create turnovers. And I think this game in Brazil, we know always those games in London, overseas, is where things get tricky at times. It's either a shootout or an offensive struggle by both teams. I think Philadelphia, they got the horses on defense to get to Jordan Love a few times. Even though Jordan Love, he was a great quarterback, especially second half of the season last year. So this week, I think Philadelphia, as a back-end option in number 12, could still create some havoc and turnovers. So that's a top 12 defense DST units I'm ranking for week 1 of the fantasy football season.